What's up, everybody? Happy Saturday to you again, Saturday afternoon. I actually dropped a video earlier this morning when I first woke up because I'm like, I got some things on my mind. But it's funny because my sister and I, we like I said, we both listen to hip hop music, and we were debating about the recent Megan Thee Stallion and Nicki Minaj beef. And I said I wasn't going to do a video on this, but I think that a lot of people just got a lot of things wrong when they listen to Bigfoot. And I think that it's worth kind of giving my perspective on how I see the whole thing. So I saw Megan Thee Stallion drop a diss album on a number of A-list veterans in the music industry, people who have way more credibility and even organic art form than she does. And then I saw Nicki Minaj, who was one of those people mentioned, clap back in a very vicious way. And a lot of people had a lot of red flags about Bigfoot because she was like, "You're lying on your dead mom." Okay. And people thought that was just despicable. You leave family out of it. But when you listen to Megan's diss track, she was throwing shots at Nicki's husband, which caused a lot of people to start trolling the fact that he is a registered sex offender. And it also caused a lot of people to start calling the man a pedophile. Now, I believe that Nicki Minaj's husband is about 45 years old, and the incident that people are demonizing him about happened when he was 15, and it was in connection with another kid that was his age. So you're talking about a 15-year-old sexually assaulting a kid that went to his school, I believe, that was of the same age. The case was not about him assaulting 5, 6, 2-year-olds like some of these deviants do today. And so I think that, a lot of people, they're so passionately ignorant and they just want to be on a bandwagon of any ignorance that they don't understand that words actually do matter. And what words mean, and understanding the meaning of words and comprehending the meanings of words, it absolutely matters. And that's why it's like, it's good not to be on any side of any argument, but to look at things objectively. And so when I objectively look at this conversation between these two women who are in this industry that is ripe for pitting women against each other because they're trying to figure out who can I make the most money off of and own. And everybody's trying to figure out how to make money off of somebody. And a lot of times beefs, sex, all that stuff, it just sells. It's interesting to people. It gets people kind of interested, just riled up, if you will. And you see that by the way that these fan bases responded to this beef between these two women. But I think that that we need to make it clear that a pedophile is an individual with unclean and unchecked an adult individual with unclean and unchecked desires towards children in a sexual manner. And I've done videos on this before. I think that pedophiles are the most disgusting people in society because there are some people, that I believe have pedophile behaviors. And then there are some people that I believe have, suppressed urges that were really a root of whatever trauma they had as a child because an adult violated them. So I say that to say that when you're going around calling a man that is a registered sex offender a pedophile, that is defamation. That is defamation because that man may not be a pedophile today, and I don't know what Nicki Minaj's husband is doing today, but presumably I would assume that the crimes that he is committing has nothing to do with sexual assault or pedophilia. But if I am wrong about that, correct me. But the only instance that we've seen is this man when he was 15 years old. This is 30 years later. So it's like these grave diggers are looking up reasons to embarrass people. But I think at the end of the day, you need to make sense when you're doing it. A pedophile is not the same as a person who has a sexual assault offense. And there's so many degrees to these things. I personally believe that a 15-year-old who was convicted of sexual assault should have opportunity to reform, in terms of, if he is reformed by means of going to jail, he gets out and he never commits an offense like that again. I don't think that the scarlet letter of registering as a sex offender is necessarily just. I really don't, especially if it was just an isolated incident. Now, if it was a pattern, then obviously that is something where it would need to be monitored, where, even if you are out of prison and reformed, we have to monitor you for a considerable duration of time before we can even think about label, like taking the label of a sex abuser or offender off of your particular record. And this is just my reasonable thinking about that, because I think that it's really disgusting if the man has not had any type of sexual assault offense for 30 years, for him to still be demonized by this action. And even the victim, right? There, people argue, well, the victim is still demonized. At some point in our lives, no matter what the traumatic situation is, we have to reconcile trauma. Nicki Minaj has to live with the fact that she, decided to be with a man that did hurt somebody and cause trauma in somebody's life, maybe forever, And so she has to deal with that. She has to stand on that. But I think if you are talking about, what he is really, what his real offense is, I don't think the labeling the man a pedophile is fair. Because, again, you are dealing with two teenagers where one was out of control, aggressive, and ended up abusing another one. But there's no track record, or I didn't see any instances where he was a serial attacker and abuser of people. That seemed like it was very targeted. So this is just my breakdown of all the information and the beef that just stands out to me. But then you go to Nicki Minaj's response, right? And a lot of people are like, that was too much. You're talking about her dead mother. But it's like, okay, well, let's talk about what she said. She said, you're lying on your dead mother, right? And people are very quick to say, oh, my mama, when they're trying to add credibility to lies. You hear it all the time. Oh, my mama. Oh, my mama. And this person just lying their ass off. So I say that to say, Nicki Minaj calling out the fact that Megan Thee Stallion's ex-boyfriend called out the fact that when he asked her about if she had slept with X, Y, and Z men, she put it on her mama that she didn't. And he already knew that it was a lie. So Nicki was just reinforcing that, hey, even your dude said you lying on your dead mama. And I think that that's probably more despicable than somebody calling out the fact that she lied on her dead mama. Like, at this point, if you going to take it to the most despicable level to lie on your dead mama, right, then you should be trolled for lying on your dead mama, because that is a very despicable thing to do. And no matter if you hate Nicki Minaj or not, be objective enough to know that people, or at least conclude that people should not be lying on either living or dead relatives. They have nothing to do with the sins that you are putting on the table. And I think that's the overarching thing. I think that when you look at the contents, just raw contents from a moral standpoint, both of these ladies were tasteless. Like, they were not very tasteful in, their approach to this sort of exchange or dialogue, right? But if we were going to get down to which album was actually more memorable, which disc was more memorable, I'm going to have to give it to Nicki Minaj. I can't even remember what Megan Thee Stallion's, that one line that they're focusing on towards Nicki Minaj is like the only focus point in the song. I don't even remember how the song goes. I do remember that it was just that normal Megan same flow. And so I was already disinterested just at that fact alone. But when we're talking about bars and creativity, and even the fact that this woman dropped a disc just not even a week after Megan dropped her disc, right? And I'm going to say that for Partisan Fontaine too, because it took him just less than a week to, it seems like, to respond to what Megan said in Cobra. So Megan is throwing shots against organically good artists. And even the industry machine that she has promoting her, they're going to have to put in a lot of money to basically make Megan seem like she is dominating these veteran and organically good artists. And again, I tell people all the time, a lot of this boils down to ownership. Megan Thee Stallion can be owned. She can be owned because she's not happy with the wealth that she's already acquired. She wants more, and she wants relevance in Satan's world. So of course you can't just be happy with your riches. You got to aim for more. And people can say, "Oh, it's about the passion. It's about the passion." But if it was about the passion, you wouldn't be going so hard to be beefing and acknowledging other artists that are coming up in your space or trying to at least get to your level. So it's like even with Nicki Minaj, she's running on very demonic energies. Like, she wants to be the queen of this rap game. You've already proven yourself. Like right now, you're fighting for a throne that really, if you just let the raw music speak for itself, there's nobody really touching Nicki Minaj. Nobody really should be talking about Nicki Minaj. They should be respecting Nicki Minaj. But because she is a woman that can stand on her own and she doesn't need a machine, because she has a machine called her fan base, just much like Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston, she has a fan base that really, at the end of the day, puts her in a position where she doesn't need the industry. Nicki Minaj can do pretty much almost anything she wants to do as an artist, even if her punk ass label never backs her up or push her stuff, because she has a fan base that will do the job for her. And that's the power of being a dynamic and organically good artist. And I think that's why the industry hates Nicki Minaj so much, because they can't own her. She doesn't need them. She has a very powerful fan base. And the only way that they're going to take her down is by turning her fan base against her. By making it seem like people are over trolling them. It's like Nicki Minaj has one of the most powerful and dynamic fan base in the industry. She's one of those artists that do it. She's like Beyonce. She's like Taylor Swift. They have their fan base that will support them and look out for them no matter what the industry is trying to do to them. And that's why every time the industry tries to promote and prop an artist to go against Nicki, I think that they're seeing that, you know what, we're not even getting a real return on investment. We're pushing out a lot of money that we're not even getting back. That's why Cardi B has been sidelined. She's been sidelined because it's like, you can't even sell music. We go and sell some whipped cream. Do your whatever influencer stuff, and then you can come back and maybe play a victim of Nicki Minaj. But really, she was leveraged the same way. These people are being leveraged against organically good artists, right? And they're making it seem like these people are dominated over these artists. They're not. A lot of these artists do have a lot of manipulating push. Like, again, streams can be manipulated. Anything that can be manipulated, obviously, is not the organic way to gauge a true organic artist or a good artist. The best way to gauge it is if they can sell out concerts. The best way to gauge is if they can purely sell their music and their merchandise to the public and they're actually getting revenue. Pure sales is always going to be king. And a lot of these new age music listeners, they don't really understand that concept. So their whole mindset, in my opinion, is it's what's popular. Whatever the music industry and its streaming charts manipulate us to believe is popular, that's where we're going. But you can't believe the charts, because if your artist can't sell 100K within the first week of their album dropping, and they got 1 billion something streams, the streams ain't streaming. The math ain't mathing on that. And I think a lot of people realize now that you have a lot of these charts that are being straight manipulated. And in the process of manipulating these people, you have these chart bloggers and editors who are trying to create narratives because they don't like to see organically good artists that are not owned flourishing. And I see this even with Russ. I mean, whether it's Russ or any newer artist that is coming out and is trying to be independent, they are not allowing these people to be pushed, or they're manipulating their numbers so that the public believe they're not as popular as they really are. But the proof is always going to be in the pudding. So getting back, when it comes to the diss tracks between these ladies, of course, Nicki Minaj won. And I'm not saying this as a Nicki Minaj fan, because I've literally worked very hard to divorce myself from fanaticism. But in a pure objective opinion, right, when it comes to hip hop and what hip hop really is, nobody's going to tell me that Nicki is not hip hop and that she didn't push out a very interesting, diss. And at first, when I heard Bigfoot, I was confused, because I didn't really understand the background behind all of this stuff that was going on. So I didn't like it. I'm just like, why is you talking about this girl's dead mama? But then when you think about all the context of the bars, it's like Nicki slaughtered her. And you can be a fanatic of whoever you want to believe that she didn't. But if you're a raw music lover, you know that Nicki Minaj slaughtered Megan Thee Stallion for speaking on her name. And I always tell my sister, we always joke, like, they should just leave that woman alone. Like, just stop messing with that woman. Because every time you mess with that woman, it's like poking a dragon. And they keep poking the dragon so that they can elevate the image of a prop. And it's like none of these women are ever going to be Nicki Minaj because they don't have the same time and game as Nicki Minaj. And time on job really matters when you're still effective and you're still selling. And you're selling better than all of these people who are coming up and ganging up just to target you. Because you're still in the craft, doing your thing, and owning most of your image and your art, which many of these artists do not. They are industry puppets and props. They've been advanced money, right, with the mindset that they were going to sell X, Y, and Z of everything relating to their image. And many of these people are not able to do that. And that's just because, you're giving a lot of your product away for free. Like the pro and con of streaming and the pro and cons of just all the social media presence that these artists are pushing out to their fans is you're not even leaving us anything to desire, right? You're not leaving it. We see your ass all the time. Why the fuck would we really need to buy your music? We can go stream it. We can go do all this stuff for cheap. We really don't even have to invest in a whole damn album, which most of the time, like I said, if an album has 10 songs, you only going to like an average of like 3 or 4 of them. And the rest of the album is just going to be moot for you, where you're not playing anything on repeat. So that's just the reality of the music industry. And I think people need to be realistic about that. And as they're kind of assessing all these popular beefs and these back and forths and they're gauging music, it's like, let's just keep it a buck. Nicki's response to Megan, just like Pardison Fontaine's response to Megan, was better. It was just better. It was more memorable. I don't even remember how his goes. And even if I were to replay the song again, I really wouldn't want to hear the whole thing because you're out here on a PMS trip about people that you feel like slighted you in the industry. When really these are people that just don't trust you to mess with you and you and your feelings about that. And then Roc Nation is allowing you to play victim about that. And I'm really shocked that Jay-Z would even be behind this because, regardless of where Jay-Z is now, everybody who is like, if you at least 40 plus, where Jay-Z started. Jay-Z's underground. You know that like he was a committed lyricist before he became this mogul. And even if he got ambitions to be where the white dudes were, like the white looking folks, or he wanted to be them or whatever. You started off with the art form, dude. So it's kind of weird to me to see you allowing even one of your artists that you propping to disrespect veterans like this. So it's just like, I don't know. Shame on Rock Nation. Like, not Rock Nation, but at least Jay-Z. Because come on, dude. Like, we remember you. We remember you when you weren't the Jay-Z that you are right now. And for you to allow a younger artist to just keep going at veterans, like, when are we going to stop normalizing young people disrespecting older people? I mean, that's really what this whole, like, when I see these young people going after older veteran people, that's really what it is. We are normalizing younger people being disrespectful to older people. People who have been in the game, who have had more experience than them. And I'm sorry, if you are a real OG, you should not even want to be a part of that. I'm sorry. A real objective OG who has lived in this game called life should not want to be a part of that. And I'm just like, it's not like I'm shocked about Jay-Z, but it is kind of like, slightly disappointing because we remember you. We remember you when you weren't you. And you got the credibility for being the rapper, not the mogul that you are today, because you were organically talented. You picked up those dictionaries and learned those words. We remember your story as a rapper, as a lyricist. So it's just weird for me, dude, like how people and things in life changes people, but we remember you. We remember those stories of you saying that you picked up the dictionary and you read them. So for us, like at one point in the time, like the game was real for you where this was poetry. This really was an art form. And now it's not. It's been defiled and tainted. And apparently you don't even care about that. So as a hip hop, as a person who just liked hip hop, and just, the real organic, true story behind it and the real undergroundness feel of it, it's just an indication that like every single thing in this world has been defiled. It's just defiled. It's not the same. Nothing in this world is the same, right? Including hip hop. So y'all have a good day. Y'all have a good day. But this was my rant, my hip hop rant. This is my hip hop rant and my hip hop perspective. If you follow my other content, like this one is not for you. But I had to really kind of go out because it's like you see the industry and it's like there wasn't as much Satanism in hip hop as it is today. So when you see all the just overt Satanism, symbolism in hip hop today, you just realize that nothing is the same. Everything's defiled. And you just got to watch your association. And sometimes that comes in the form of even your entertainment as well. And so I'm working really hard to divorce myself from my love of hip hop because it's not the same. It's very defiling. It's not inspirational. And it's just satanic. So anyways, you guys have a good day. Bye.